Give thanks to those who contributed, not only their time and their hard work, but definitely financially, to make this night possible and create a film dedicated to my friend John Lewis. Also like to thank Jim and Nancy Blair for their continual generosity to this town in northwest Arkansas, and we will be forever grateful for this wonderful facility.
Yep.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Diane Blair for being a wonderful person and the inspiration for this building also.
Well done.
I'm sure she's looking down tonight with John, both of them smiling but with a small tear in their eye. Helen, I want to thank you for being here and for coming back into John's life. I mean, Helen and John were sweethearts back in junior high school, and Helen left town. They went their separate ways, but then Helen made the full circle. And by the way, John had won Helen's heart back in junior high by beating out stiff competition with Paul Berry. But Helen, I want you to know he was very happy when you came back into his life. And Jay and Julie, I was there when they were born, and I was lucky enough and honored enough that John made me Jay's godfather. And I hope I've contributed something to him. If not, I'm remiss, but anyway, I think of him often. Finally, tonight I have my two daughters here from, one from Little Rock, Misty Hawkins, and Melinda McIlroy, and her friend Mark Taylor. And unfortunately, my wife, Mary Jo, has the shingles, and my youngest daughter finally got a job, and I wouldn't let her jeopardize that. Well, I was supposed to talk about John, and oh my gosh, I don't know how I can add any more. He'd be more praise on him. I still talk to him all the time. I mean, I didn't want to really do this till he channeled me, and he said, I said, well, you've done it to me again. You're even doing it to me. You're talking me into something I don't want to do from the grave. And he was the best at convincing some people. And I'm sure there are a lot of people in this room that have experienced John's ability and persuasiveness to get something done that he was very interested in. But there again, he was always right, and it was always a good cause. The McIlroy and Lewis family, I can remember as a child, John's mother and dad being over at our house for dinner. We were always connected in some way or the other, through cousins, and with Herb, and me with John, and my mother with John's mother, who was active in the church. And I believe that probably, best I can remember, one of the first times I can remember really being with John was at Sunday school, and there were about 4 or 5 of us, and we went for a couple of years, and then they couldn't get a Sunday school teacher to teach that class anymore, so. But back then, Fayetteville was a sleepy little village, you've got to understand, and probably, 5,000 people with 500 last names. The Lewises and the Trumbos and the Himbass and the Farrells, and then there were the rest of us. Springdale only needed the Duggars.
Nice. He's proud of that one, isn't he? He is.
Fayetteville was the square and to a certain extension of Dixon and Dixon Street, which was also known as Town. And it had everything you needed. It had drugstores, department stores, shoe stores, jewelry stores, music stores, movie theaters, too, banks, post office, grocery stores, hotels. And it's so, I bring that up because later on when John and I were in the banking business here, that whole picture had completely changed, as a lot of you know. John and I went to different grade schools, so it wasn't until junior high that we were in the same school. And at that time, formative years, we formed a real bond, a real friendship that lasted forever. We had no fights except one, and that's when we both decided to join the Marine Corps. And Doc Holliday like this, about the third day in boot camp, I looked at him and said, "Lewis, this is the dumbest idea you've ever had." That's when the fight started. I said it wasn't my idea, it was your idea. But it was quickly settled. We decided it was the Rockwood and too much beers out there. College came and went. John went to Dallas. My father passed away. I went to work in the bank here. And that was kind of the history of our relationship, our friendship. We drifted in and out of each other's lives. Periods of 5 or 6 years would go by where we really didn't have any contact. But John finally returned to Fayetteville, and boy, was I happy. I mean, felt like I was having to make too many decisions.